Real rapid God type stuff. Fire and brimstone coming down from the skies. Rivers and seas. More than 4 years of darkness, earthquakes, volcanoes, the sea rising from the grave. Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together. That's hysteria.
Flintstones meet the Flintstones. They're the modern Stone Age family from the town of Bedrock. They're a page right out of history. TV Guide ranks the Flintstones as the second greatest TV cartoon of all time, right behind The Simpsons. This modern Stone Age family from Bedrock was Primetime's first animated series, debuting 30 years before the Wacky Working Class Clan from Springfield. But before the prehistoric sitcom premiered, the notion of adults sitting in front of the TV sets to watch cartoons seemed improbable. That is, until the upcoming producers Bill Hanna and Joe Barbera discovered that adults counted for 40% of the audience for the Huckleberry Hound show, a popular series about an easygoing blue hound with a southern drawl. The producing duo astutely realized that the right blend of satire, slapstick, and well-crafted characters could possess universal appeal, transcending age demographics, pursuing their new goal of an adult-oriented primetime cartoon. They brainstormed all kinds of characters, from pilgrims to hillbillies to Romans and Native Americans, before ultimately landing on cavemen. Hanna and Barbera pitched their idea to dozens of prospective sponsors, as well as networks, even acting out scenes from their storyboards. While NBC and CBS passed on the idea, the perpetually third-place network ABC took a chance on the Paleolithic comedy, airing the first episode on Friday, September 30th, in the year 1960, at 7:30 p.m. Sponsors included Winston Cigarettes, Alka-Seltzer, One-A-Day Vitamins, and Post Cereal. Audience, both young and old, quickly fell in love with the Flintstones, but critics took aim. The New York Times called the series an inked disaster. The Baltimore Sun declared it not a very good comedy, inhabited by unpleasantly uncouth people. Meanwhile, TV critic Jay Fredericks claimed that he was solemnly assured by a local television official a couple of months ago that the Flintstones would be hilarious and the show of the season. It is neither. The whole series is weak, he stated. Despite critical barbs, the Flintstone became a genuine hit, finishing the season at number 18th in the Nielsen ratings. One theory as to why audience immediately accepted the show was that the characters closely mirrored those from the popular 1950s sitcoms The Honeymooners, starring Jackie Gleason, and Bill Hanna once remarked, "I personally thought The Honeymooners was the funniest half hour on television ever." Similar to Gleason's blustery Ralph Cramden, Fred Flintstone is overweight, overbearing, and continually plotting harebrained ideas. Ralph drove a bus. Fred operated a Bronto crane. His better half, level-headed Wilma, spoke with a sharp tongue like Alice Camden. Neighbors Barney and Betty Rubble acted as best friends and comic foils, resembling the Honeymooners' predecessors Ed and Trixie Norton. Both loyal wives and homemakers spent much of their time keeping their husbands in line. Ed Benedict, one of the original film's Flintstones designers, recalled the process of creating the look for both of these cave-dwelling couples. When I was told the studio was coming out with these new characters set in the Stone Age, I sketched up some characters carrying clubs and wearing long beards. Joe Barbera didn't like that much, so I straightened them up, took off the beards, and made them look more neat and clean cut. I was also told that they had a pet, so a dinosaur seemed appropriate, and that's how Dino came about. Though the series premise placed them in prehistoric times, the Flintstones and Rubbles were just average Stone Age middle-class blue-collar folks. Sometimes affable, other times irreplaceable Fred toiled at the bedrock quarry and gravel company, hounded by his demanding boss, Mr. Slate. But when quitting time rolled around, he and his pal Barney pursued off-hour amusements, such as bowling, shooting pool, caviting with fellow club members at the Loyal Order of Water Buffaloes. Most episodes centered on the pair becoming entangled in one of Fred's outlandish schemes that inevitably backfired, landing them in hot water with their wives. Now and then, the show's writers reversed the roles, placing Wilma and Betty in a predicament that eventually put them at odds with their husbands. And like traditional sitcoms, episodes usually ended with Fred and Barney redeeming themselves, reminding the women why they loved them. To further relate to traditional sitcom viewers, the writers provided all of our contemporary conveniences to the bedrock Dinsies, with Stone Age twist, of course. A ram's horn acted as a telephone. Characters drove skin-topped convertibles with their bare feet providing the locomotion. Dinosaurs and other prehistoric beasts supplied the power to operate vacuum cleaners, moving cranes, and in-sync disposable units. A running gag also featured beleaguered creatures commenting directly to the audiences, breaking the fourth wall about how overworked and underappreciated they felt in their jobs. While clever plotting and humorous takes on prehistoric archetypes kept the fun going, by the third season, the producers needed new elements to keep the series fresh. So, they decided that Fred and Wilma should have a child named Pebbles. In an interview with MeTV Legends, Barbera revealed he originally intended the child to be a boy until he spoke with the Ideal Toy Company. One day I received a call from the guy in charge of the Flintstones merchandising, and he said, "Hey, I hear you're having a baby on the show." I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Is it a boy or a girl?" "What else?" "A boy, a chip off the old rock," he says. "That's too bad. If it was a girl, we could have made a hell of a deal." I said, "Well, then it's a girl." They sold 3 million Pebbles dolls within the first couple of months. Capitalizing on baby fever to entice more fans, the Rubbles became parents in season 4 when they adopted a toddler left on their doorstep. They named him Bam Bam because of his incredible strength and his tendency to repeatedly slam his big wooden club or people into the ground, yelling, "Bam, bam, bam, bam." Even with the popularity of its growing family, the Flintstones concluded in 1966 after 6 seasons. Reruns of the series then found a new audience as part of NBC's Saturday morning lineup from 1967 to 1970. The original program may have run its course, but the Flintstones launched a number of spin-offs. In addition to 2 live-action films, there were a number of TV series, including 1971's The Pebbles and Bam Bam Show, The Flintstone Comedy Hour the following year, The New Fred and Barney Show in 1979, The Flintstones Comedy Show in 1980, The Flintstone Kids in 1986, and Cave Kids in 1996. The offshoots, adaptations, and merchandising generated from the Flintstones supplemented fans' enduring adoration for the show. And for decades, Fred, Wilma, Barney, Betty, not to mention their offspring, have been licensed for countless products such as breakfast cereals, children's vitamins, games, books, theme parks, and action figures. The Flintstones became an instant classic, not simply because the creators fashioned an alternate bedrock suburbia satirizing modern life, but because the characters were well crafted and genuinely funny. Though Fred may have been inspired by Ralph Camden, he paid forward this classic archetype, influencing future dads in sitcom history, including Homer Simpson and Peter Griffin. Possessing the distinction of being the longest-running animated show prior to The Simpsons, Hanna-Barbera's gamble paid off, and handsomely. It's no wonder the duo sang Yabba Dabba Doo all the way to the bank. Fred Flintstone's iconic Yabba Dabba Doo was the brainchild of voice actor Alan Reed. Reed remembered how his mother used to say, "A little dabble do ya," which was the advertising tagline for the hair care product Bilacream. Recalling the line during a recording session, Alan said, "Hey, Joe, where it says Yahoo, can I say Yabba Dabba Doo?" And Barbera said, "Yes." And that's when the classic catchphrase was born. Flintstones. Meet the Flintstones. They're the modern Stone Age family. From the town of Bedrock, they're a page right out of history. Broadcasting live from the WDCE studios out of the University of Richmond, you're listening to 90.1 FM. At Sam Newsman on Instagram. At Sam Newsman on Facebook. At Sam Newsman on YouTube. At Sam Newsman on Twitter. And of course, at Sam Newsman on TikTok. You're listening to the only radio show dedicated to the magic of Saturday morning, hosted by me, a real puppet. Download the Live 365 app so you can hear the cartoon themes that we play during the segments that I'm not here on screen. Once again, the only radio show dedicated to the magic and nostalgia of Saturday morning, hosted by me, a real puppet. From the most trusted puppet in media, reporting since Roswell, I'm Sam Newsman, and this is Saturday Morning.